just like he always did. Same street, same time of night, the familiar rhythm of his daily commute home. But this time, something was different. The road didn't end where it was supposed to. Instead, it opened up into a neighborhood he had never seen before. The lawns were perfect, the porch lights were on, and not a single address was recognized by his phone. Suburban neighborhoods are designed for clarity. Their streets curve gently, the signs are easy to read, and the addresses follow predictable patterns. Everything is meant to be easy to navigate, easy to find, and easy to return from. That inherent order is precisely what makes stories about places that resist our maps so deeply disorienting. This story takes place in a sprawling suburban area just outside a growing American city. Developments like it are everywhere, endless rows of similar houses, carefully planned landscaping, and sidewalks that always loop back toward the main roads in our documented reality. These places leave clear paper trails through zoning records, property taxes, and utility bills. What follows, however, is not part of that reality. The man in this story drove the same route home from work every single night. It was a clever shortcut that cut through a few residential streets, letting him bypass the worst of the traffic. He knew every turn, every stop sign by heart. On the night this happened, nothing felt unusual at all, right up until the final turn he had made hundreds of times before. At first, the street looked the same, and then it didn't. Instead of the familiar row of older houses he expected, the road just kept going. It extended farther than it should have, opening into a neighborhood he didn't recognize. Houses were all newer than those in the surrounding area, with clean lines, modern siding, and identical pristine driveways. Soft light glowed from every porch. Cars were parked neatly, as if staged. He slowed down, his mind racing to make sense of it. There were street signs, but the names Oakmont Court, Whisper Creek Lane meant nothing to him. He pulled out his phone, expecting an easy answer. Map showed a blank gray area. No streets, no addresses, just his little blue location marker floating in an empty void. He figured it was a temporary glitch, a data issue. GPS errors happen, right? He drove on, curiosity overriding his confusion. As he moved deeper into the neighborhood, he noticed something subtle, something that began to prickle at the back of his neck. There were no people, not a single soul, no movement behind the softly lit windows, no dogs barking, no faint sound of televisions. The entire place felt complete, perfectly constructed, but paused, frozen in time. He stopped the car and stepped out into the strange quiet. The air itself felt different, still and heavy, as if sound couldn't travel properly. He tried calling his wife. The phone rang once, then the call immediately ended. He looked at the screen. It didn't show no service, but there were no signal bars either. Just nothing. He got back in the car, a knot of anxiety tightening in his chest, and turned around to go back the way he came. But the road behind him no longer led to the intersection he'd just left. Familiar turn was gone, replaced by another identical street line with the same silent houses. Cars parked in the driveways were the same models, same colors, in the exact same positions. He was in a loop. He started driving slowly, his heart rate climbing. Every turn led to another identical street. He felt a rising panic, a primal fear of being lost in a place that shouldn't exist. Finally, desperately, he saw what looked like a main road ahead. Without thinking, he gunned the engine and turned onto it. Within seconds, the phantom neighborhood was gone. Normalcy returned with a jolt. Traffic lights, familiar storefronts, the distant hum of the city. He pulled over, his hands shaking, and checked his phone again. The map worked perfectly now. He searched for the street names he'd seen. Oakmont Court, Whisper Creek Lane. The search returned no results. They didn't exist. Over the next few days, his curiosity curdled into a deep, unshakable unease. He scoured county property records online. No new developments matched what he had seen. He drove his old route again and again, at different times of day, at different times of night. The turn was always just a turn. The mysterious neighborhood never appeared again. Stories like this are not as unique as you might think. If you search online in the quiet corners of the internet, you can find scattered first-hand accounts describing neighborhoods that appear briefly and then vanish. They often appear at night, usually during routine travel to people on autopilot. The descriptions are eerily consistent. The places are always orderly. They are always unearthed. unnervingly quiet, and they are never openly hostile. Psychologists have plausible explanations. Of course, they suggest things like memory reconstruction, where our brains fill in gaps with fabricated details, especially when we're tired. Urban planners note that new housing developments can sometimes open temporarily for construction access before they ever appear on public maps. These are all logical, reasonable theories, but there's a recurring detail in these accounts that defies easy explanation. Those who claim to have entered these phantom neighborhoods often describe a distinct feeling of being observed, not watched in an aggressive or threatening way, but simply noticed, as if the place itself was aware of their presence, registering them as an anomaly. One unverified account I found online claims a driver decided to stay too long. He parked his car and got out to walk around. The houses remained silent and empty, but as he walked down the street, the porch lights began to turn off one by one as he passed them. When he finally panicked and found a way out, he said his phone showed dozens of missed calls that had never actually rung. Of course, this can't be verified. It's just a story on the internet. What remains consistent across all these tales is what happens afterward. The people who encounter these places never find them again. The routes change. The turns lead elsewhere. The phantom neighborhoods seem to be available for entry-only ones. So, what are these places? Perhaps these stories are just glitches in the human mind, our brains filling in the blanks during a monotonous drive. Perhaps they are the ghostly remnants of developments that were planned but never completed, existing for a moment in a strange intersection of blueprint and reality. Or maybe our mapping software just lags behind the real world. Or perhaps there's something else entirely. A neighborhood doesn't need to trap you to be unsettling. It only needs to exist for a moment long enough for you to remember it, but short enough for everyone else to deny it. Because when a place refuses to appear on any map, when it leaves no trace behind, the real question isn't where it is. The question is why you, and only you, were allowed to find it at all. Thanks for watching. If you enjoyed this journey into the unknown, don't forget to like this video and subscribe for more stories that question the edges of our reality. Stay curious,